Okay, so I just want to give a warning up front because this video, it's going to be a bit controversial. Because a question I'm often asked is this: Sarah, why are there Etsy stores like yours that can earn over $1,000 in just a single day, whereas there are other stores that after months of trying still can't even get one sale? It's a good question, right? And honestly, I think there are a lot of things that many Etsy gurus are not willing to talk about. And I also think that there is a lot of bad Etsy advice out there that is holding many stores back from success. And so then I think it is time for some honest, harsh truths. And we'll start with the first honest, harsh truth, which is this: most customers don't notice or even care if you are selling AI art. Yes, that's right. I told you this video would be a bit controversial, and I wasn't kidding. Since, well, frankly, I know that not everyone agrees with or likes AI art. But whether we like it or not, the harsh reality is this: the market doesn't care about our feelings. And I've noticed an interesting trend with some Etsy influencers who will try to sugarcoat this reality to their followers that don't like AI art by saying things like, oh, actually customers don't really want to buy it because they want real art. And I've also noticed that within the Etsy seller community itself, that there is definitely a trend where people will say things like, oh, actually, customers aren't interested in AI art. No, they want handmade art. But honestly, for better or for worse, this does not match my experience at all. As I mentioned in this video, I now sell a lot of AI art on Etsy by selling it onto print-on-demand clothing, which, by the way, if you'd like to learn more about how I do it, you can download a copy of my free ebook, The 6 Steps That Six-Figure Online Stores Follow to Make Over $10,000 a Month. You'll find a link to download my free ebook in the video description below. But yes, these days, about 50% of the designs I sell on Etsy are human-made and 50% are AI-generated. And guess what? No one cares. Not a single customer has emailed me to ask if I'm selling AI art or to complain that I'm selling AI art. And actually, I checked before filming this video what my top selling design was on Etsy this month, and you guessed it, it's AI generated. And actually, it makes sense that no one cares, because the truth is that for most artistic styles, if you edit out any weird AI imperfections, there is literally no way to tell whether it is human-made or AI-made. Plus, even if you're selling an image, which is just clearly AI generated, from my experience, as long as that's what the customer actually wants, they still don't care. Nope, like you take this store here, right? Unlike me, the art that they are selling is very clearly AI generated because they've chosen to go with that very specific AI digital art style for their clip art packs. Like, for example, here's one of their top selling packs. Look at this. This is very obviously AI art. And they even directly say in their bio that the art is AI generated, just in case you somehow weren't quite sure. And guess what? No one cares. In just 2 years, the Etsy research app Allure estimates that the store has made over $250,000, and it estimates that the store has a conversion rate of over 4.8%. Now that is an extremely high conversion rate for Etsy, and it shows that overwhelmingly customers like this. As this customer said in her review, the image was exactly what she wanted. And so in my experience, that is what most customers actually care about. Yep, whether people like it or not, the reality is this: customers are gonna buy the design that they like the most, whether it is AI or not. And speaking of this, here is another honest, harsh truth that people need to know about. And it's this: more is not better. Instead, I believe that on Etsy, less is actually more. Yes, so probably the worst piece of advice that I have seen consistently posted online is that the way to make a lot of money on Etsy is to just try and post as many products as possible. And as a result, I regularly see new Etsy sellers come and set a goal of trying to list 200 or 500 or sometimes over 1,000 designs as quickly as possible. But from my experience on Etsy, this is a very flawed idea. And to explain why, I wanted to show you a couple of stores. So this store here, right, it has posted just 2 products, both of them being digital downloadable travel itineraries for Japan. And look, despite having just 2 products, this store has still made over 3,600 sales. This store sells mainly Instagram Canva templates, and yes, it has posted more than 2 products, I know, but it's still a lot less than many gurus out there will tell you to make. They've posted just 69 products and they're all very high quality, and as a result you can see that they have had over 39,000 sales. So you can see what the moral of the story here is, right? On Etsy, quality is what's important, not quantity. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a grain of truth to the idea that you should try and post as many products as possible. Because you take me, right? I do try to post as many products as possible, but it's not because more is necessarily better. Instead, it's because unlike a big corporation like McDonald's or Lego who spend hundreds of millions of dollars on market research testing new products before they launch them, I don't have hundreds of millions of dollars to do that. So the cheapest and easiest way for me to do market research and to test if any product ideas I have are actually good is to try to make it as quickly as possible and then release it and to see what happens. And when I do this, it turns out that sometimes my product idea was actually a good idea after all, and it sells, and that's great. But then other times it turns out that my idea was bad and nobody buys it. So yes, if you have good product ideas, there is value in trying to create as many products as possible so that you can test all of your different ideas to find winners. But don't just flood the market for the sake of it. Instead, for most people, in my experience, it'd be better if they spent more time focusing on quality and spent more time on the product research and design phase. And speaking of product research on Etsy, something you need to know is that a lot of Etsy stores are using deceptive pricing, which tricks you into thinking their prices are lower than they actually are. Yep, and it is something that I just do not see talked about enough. Because I still get lots of comments like this one on my channel from people thinking that t-shirts are being sold on Etsy for $10 or less, making it impossible to make a profit. And well, it isn't true. T-shirts are not being sold for $10 or less. However, because of deceptive pricing tactics, it looks like they are. So let me show you. If I come to Etsy and do a search for retro t-shirts, you'll see all sorts of t-shirts that look like they are priced quite low, around $12. Hell, one t-shirt here is supposedly priced at around $5, and you're like, $5? That is crazy. How are they making a profit? Are they just selling that at a loss? No, they aren't. If you check out the variants, you'll see that actually this t-shirt starts at $14.99 and it only goes up in price from there. The only thing that is priced at $5 is the digital file. So yes, that's how Etsy displays prices in the search results. They show you the lowest cost variant price, not the average price. So you can't just believe what you see in the search results, because you check out this t-shirt here. The $5 price tag on the other t-shirt was a bit ridiculous, right? You were probably a bit suspicious that something was up there, but $12, now that's an actually believable price. That makes this t-shirt a genuinely clever deception, so I'm not hating on it. However, that t-shirt price, it's still trying to trick you. Because when you open up the color variants for it, you'll see that, hold on, all of the t-shirts seem to start at $19, not $12. The only one starting at $12 is the espresso color. That's it. And if you open up the sizing variant, the only one that is $12 is the small size. So you can see what they've done here. They've gone and picked what is probably the least popular color of all of their variants, and then picked one size from that and then set that at $12 so that now their listing looks cheaper in the search results. So yes, now you know. All right, so I am now going to change courses and talk about something very different, because I want to address something that it seems that most people just don't want to talk about. And that is refunds. Yes, customers do ask for refunds. Yes, funnily enough, refunds are a little bit of an inconvenient topic that I don't really see many Etsy gurus wanting to talk about in their videos. So a lot of people do just genuinely want to know, what about refunds? How do you handle them, Sarah? And I get the concern, because refunds are annoying, and just to be fully transparent here, every single type of Etsy store is going to face refunds, even digital product stores. Because yes, there are indeed customers that will buy a digital product, download it, and then email you telling you it's not what they want and ask for a refund while they just get to keep the digital file for free. It is very, very rude. So you do have to be prepared for refunds, but frankly, I don't really care about refunds at all. In fact, I just choose to offer a very generous refund policy to my customers. What I do is simple. I have a USA return address, and if you live outside of the United States like me and you want to set up a return address, you can just get a PO box. Then I tell customers that if they want a refund for any reason, that they can just mail the item back to my return address and I will give them a full refund. And I'll tell you why. It's because before I filmed this video, I checked the refund rate for my print-on-demand clothes, and my refund rate this year is currently 0.3%. Yes, I will say that again. My refund rate is 0.3%. So no, I'm not going to cry over 0.3% of customers. But a lot of people are surprised at my low refund rate because if you Google it, you'll see very high refund rates thrown around for online stores, especially clothing stores. But there is a reason why the refund rate is so high, and it's because as part of their business model for big brands, they try to maximize the amount of sales that they get, even at the expense of refunds. But you don't have to do that. I mean, I don't. Instead, what I try to do is I try to be as open and transparent with potential customers so that only the customers that really want an item will buy it from me. And so I make sure to optimize my listings to minimize refunds by doing two things. Firstly, like this seller here, I will have an image slide that includes sizing, because probably the most common reason that stores get returns is because customers bought the wrong size. And so by including a sizing chart in your listing, it makes it much easier for customers to ensure that they get the right size before they buy. And secondly, I always try and include a photo which shows the product in a real life context. So you take this Etsy listing for stickers. They included a photo of the sticker on a standard travel flask for reference. And you can still do this, by the way, even if you're selling a digital product, because what you can do is you can show a photo or a mock-up of your digital product being printed and either held or being used. And I think it's important to do this because the second most common reason why I've seen people return items is because even if they put effort into picking the correct size, in reality, they overestimated it or they underestimated it because people's imaginations are just not perfect. So you take stickers, right? I sell stickers. So sometimes what will happen is a customer will order, say, a 3-inch sticker, and then they'll actually get it and they'll be like, oh, I knew I was ordering that, but when I saw it in person, it was either bigger or smaller than what I had imagined it was going to be. So by including a photo of your product being used in a real life context, it allows the customer to be able to use that as a reference so that they don't have to just rely on their imaginations. So yes, now I want to talk about something else that I think is crucial to know, which is that new products on Etsy have an unfair advantage in the algorithm. So that's not entirely new information, I get it, but something that I haven't really seen be explained well in other videos is a clear explanation as to why new products get a big boost. And I think it's important to understand why new products get a big boost, because if you don't, it's very easy to waste a lot of time trying to sell the wrong types of products. Plus, it's also just kind of nice because, you know, it's honestly kind of intimidating to start and open a new Etsy store. After all, when you open a new store, your products, they have no sales, they have no reviews. So how is it that your products are able to compete against other people who already do have reviews and do have sales? It's a good question, right? And so it's one of the reasons it seems that Etsy has specifically built in a new listing boost into its algorithm to give new products a big advantage. Basically, when you post a new item on Etsy, the algorithm will analyze data in your listing, such as your title, tags, and description, and try to figure out what sort of customer might want to buy it. And then the algorithm will boost your listing and place it in front of those customers. So you take me, for example. Earlier, while filming and editing this video, I was looking at back-to-school items, and so now Etsy is currently boosting related products to this niche and placing them in front of me. And here's the thing, right? You could basically think of all of these products that it's boosting in front of me as a test. What the Etsy algorithm is testing for is it wants to see if any of these items are interesting enough that I click on it. If I do, that sends a positive signal that this item is interesting enough to check out. And as long as people keep clicking on the product when it's boosted to them, the algorithm will keep showing it to more and more people. And so this is what the Etsy algorithm does. It tests new products by artificially boosting them to see if they get engagement. And if they do, it'll keep pushing it out to more and more people. And here's the thing, right? Etsy isn't doing this as a favor to you. They're doing it because testing is crucial for them. Etsy wants to ensure that every new product has a chance to succeed because good new products keep Etsy from getting stale, which is exactly why video apps like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube do this too. I mean, imagine if they only showed you the most popular videos. Eventually, everyone would watch them and they'd get bored. So these platforms test new videos all the time, hoping to find new viral hits. And well, on Etsy, it's no different. If they only showed the most popular products all of the time, customers would get bored. So they constantly want to find new fresh products to promote and new fresh stores to promote, and so they give every new product that gets released on their platform a chance to succeed. Yes, and I'll tell you something. Understanding how the Etsy algorithm works like this has been crucial for me to make money, and while it is a bit nerdy, if you're also a bit nerdy and would like more in-depth videos where I share my tips and tricks that I use to make money on Etsy with print on demand, then you can check out my video course, the Ecomm Clubhouse. You'll find a link to my course in the video description below. But anyway, back to the video. So yes, in theory, this new listing boost, it's really good, right? And it is. But it does bring me on to the next thing on my list that you should know about. Copying products is a bad way to make sales as a new store. Yes, so I don't know about you, but I've definitely seen a lot of Etsy gurus say that the easiest way to make money on Etsy is by copying pre-existing products. Which is why when I got this comment from a viewer saying that they had tried to sell popular products like custom Christmas photo ornaments and they hadn't got any sales, I unfortunately wasn't surprised. Because there are lots and lots of people who are selling custom Christmas photo ornaments on Etsy, and so when you're looking at their product thumbnail photos, they all look very similar to each other, which is a problem because take a look. Remember how Etsy has boosted these products to us? Well, all we can see is their photos. That's it. So if your photo blends in with the others and your product looks the same as the others, then you risk getting lost in the crowd. And then boom, you've wasted your new product boost. And so instead you want to maximize your new product boost by having your item and your photo look interesting and different so that it pops out and then it stands apart from the rest so that it will get people to want to actually click on it, which is what I do. So, for example, remember how earlier I mentioned that I made this case study where I opened a new Etsy store just selling AI art? Well, in less than 2 weeks, I had made 2 sales with a 2.8% conversion rate. And the reason why I got clicks and sales was because my products looked different from my competitors. And so my listings popped when boosted. And so then, if you've enjoyed this video and you would like to learn more about how I and others are earning money online every day, be sure to watch my next video here on screen, and I will see you in the next video.